Okay, so the whole thing, here's your base. Your height is your perpendicular height to your base. All right, so I don't know, but let's say we had the area was 6 and 2. No, we don't know that. Okay, sorry. All right, we're saying this is the 2 and this is 6, and we want the area. Okay, so tell me what you do to work through this. Sarah.
Divide it into like 2 triangles.
Okay.
Well, I might. Like I'm thinking something else.
You need an angle? Okay, let's say it's 40.
So then the other one would be.
You want to do the other one? Okay.
I need to use trigonometry.
Okay, could you be more specific? You're absolutely right. You're going to use trigonometry. Don't use the 50, use the 40 because that'll show me my.
So,
This is H.
sine of 40 is 8 over.
Because we don't have enough to use the Pythagorean theorem.
Oh, you didn't put it like my side?
No. This is just a regular triangle. It doesn't naturally fall into half. Okay? So H is equal to what, Sarah? Not 2 sine 40. Okay. All right. And then the triangle would be 1/2 base, which would be 6, times height, which is 2 sine of 40. Now check it out. 6 and 2 were my original sides that I gave you, and 40 was the angle in between. So that's what that triangle, well, that's what this formula will give you if you don't know that area, the base and the height. Now this one, clearly we have a base and height done. All right? So let me show you the second. That one you already, oh shoot, that's not what I wanted to do. The second one, hello. Okay, come on. All right, this one is the one that Sarah just did. Side, angle, side. We have a side, we have an angle, and we have a side. The angle's got to be in between, and then we're going to do all this. Okay? All right, so there's your formula. Let me get on full page here. Just write over if you're not in smart anymore. K equals 1/2 AB sine of C. Please note, C is the angle between little a and little b. Okay? Now, it doesn't take that much longer, quite honestly, to just do the trig that Sarah just did. Okay? If you're like, I can't remember one more thing, I am just like, because you're going to remember this, you're going to remember this, you're going to remember, that's already in your long-term memory, I would think. Okay? And then we got another one. 1/2 AB sine of C. Isn't anybody going to ask me why they call it K? I don't know. Probably the best letter in the alphabet. I don't know. I know why you don't call it A, because A is already in the formula, and we usually identify our triangle with ABC. So I know that's why they don't call it A, but I don't know why they call it K. So thank you for asking. All right. What? What?
Yeah, or it's one triangle if you move the right part of the K upwards, and it's a side. Yes.
Okay. That's a stretch. All right. Okay, so again, we have B and C. The sign of A is just the angle in between. A and C, B is going to be in between. So those are the same thing, just like we have to adjust, you know, depending on what we know on law of sines, cosines, we have to adjust this.
But these are the two angles, and that's the, sorry, these are the two sides, and that's the angle in between. So you're not going to memorize all three of those, because if you do, then you're not really realizing, well, where are they coming from anyway. If you want to use the trig, it's totally fine, okay? If you're like, I can't remember that one. Now this next one, okay, so same triangle business where we have an A, a B, and a C. We have B, little b is 8, little c is 5, and the angle in between in hint is 40. Okay, find the area. So if you're well versed in the simplifying, you do 5 times 8 times sine of the angle in between the 5 and the 8. Okay? If you didn't have a calculator, you would do this like so. That's what I do. Okay? Of course, we'll take it down to now plug in your 40. No, it does not matter. Because you set up your triangle visually anyway, right? Is that what you mean? Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you use for the base.
If I was going to actually do the trig, I wouldn't draw it like that. I would draw it like this with the 8 first. That would be 8. That would be 5. And that would be 40 degrees. And that way I actually have this. This is awkward to do this because then you're screwed because now you just lost your angle. Okay? Because you don't. And keep in mind, you're not going to divide that angle 40 right here by 2. Okay? That's the same principle as we talked about earlier in the slide, is that that if it's not a isosceles triangle, it doesn't divide the base either by 2. Okay, so what do we get here? 12.856. Here we go. We don't have any units, so we're not going to worry about demonstration. Okay. So it's easy if you can remember. If you can't, then you just set it up and you say, all right, let me find my H. My H is sine of 40 equals H over 5. Okay, there's your 5 sine 40, and there's 1/2 of 8. Okay? So do whatever you are comfortable. Okay, this one, however, is beautiful. It's a pain in the neck, but it's a nice formula to have. I've seen this show up on ACTs. Okay, so let me do my K here. Be consistent. Okay, this is called Huron's formula. Okay, yes, you'll have to remember it. It's not that hard to remember, honestly. Okay. All right. K stands for area again. All right. S is some special little thing here. Okay. Mr. or probably Miss Huron, Prec, probably made this up. That's why it's named that. There's no other reason. Probably it's named after whoever thought of it. But the A and the B and the C are your 3 sides. It's almost the average, but it isn't because it's 1/2 instead of 1/3. But you're going to add the 3 sides and divide by 2. That's going to go here, 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 and here. In these places, we're going to find the difference between S and A, S and B, S and C. Okay? Let's try one. And this is the only thing you can use this for is if you have the 3 sides. All right. I already know we need 2, 4, 5. All right. The only thing it would be reasonable to draw this is it might give you like, wait, is that even possible? Remember, any 2 sides have to be greater than a third. Okay, so let's figure out S. S is 1/2 of 2, 4, and 5 added together. All right. You're welcome to use your calculator if you need it. You're going to want a decimal anyway because you're going to throw it all in there. All right. So what's a decimal, Warren? 5.5. 11 over 2. Okay. All right. Then the formula, we start with the 5.5. And you can do this in your head if you can. Otherwise, you just write it down. 5.5 minus one side, 5.5 minus the second side, and 5.5 minus the third side. That's the formula. Okay, and you throw it in your calculator just like that. Don't be doing any goofy simplifying because you don't need to. Simplification. Square root. Here we go. 5.5 parentheses. 5.5 minus 2. I might just put in 3.5 times 1.5. That's simplifying, yes. Times 0.5. If you find yourself making a bunch of issues, then just put it in. Making a bunch of mistakes, then just put it in like that. But the square root, don't forget that because that's part of the formula. Don't even wait till the end to do that, just from the beginning. Okay, but those are the kind of mistakes that people make is they try to have all this figured out. And the calculator can put that all in. Unless the parentheses bother you. I didn't put them in because I didn't have to. But anyway. So your 3.79, what was that last time? And then it was a 6. So how would we round that to 3? 3.8 doesn't sound like 3 decimals. 800, right. It's rounded. Okay, good job. Not that big a deal, but sometimes it is. Like, what am I supposed to round that to? If you're rounding to 3 digits, show 3 digits, even if they're zeros. Okay? All right, so it's not hard, easy to make a mistake, especially in the arithmetic from the beginning, and then forgetting maybe a square root. All right, let's try another one. I'm going to let you do that yourself real quick. And you get 6.5, right? Start with your 6.5 under here. 6.5 minus the first, 6.5 minus the second. And then this is the point where you're like, oh, hey, that's going to give me a negative something under there, which means what? No triangle. Okay? What was another clue? That's right. 2 plus 4 is not greater than 7. Okay? It has to be. So you're going to show up with no. We didn't get any on the log signs for homework, but log cosines, log signs, it's always a possibility that they're going to give us one that's like, really? Okay, and it's all because of this negative. That's going to give us a negative number in here, which is a problem. Okay, that's an imaginary solution. We can't have imaginary area people. Okay? All right. Word problem. Okay, to approximate the area of the lake clearly is in blue here. All right, a surveyor, we like those surveyors, they walk around the perimeter making straight lines, okay? Sometimes they do that with chalk. Have you seen the chalk where they bounce it and then it makes a straight line? Y'all ever seen that? You think I'm crazy?
Oh, you said right from the chocolate.
Yeah. Okay. My husband's a contractor, so I know more than the normal. All right. Taking the measurements in the illustration, those are marked. Using this technique, what is the approximate area of the lake? Okay, now it looks to me like we have not one triangle, but 3. So let's start with triangle 1 right here. It's going to be a considerable amount of work. Oh, hello. That's not what I wanted.
Like he went real far.
Yeah, I just saw this.
Yeah.
Well, he had to make a straight line.
He also went through the lake.
Yeah.
Where? Just, yeah, that's just a little waiting area. Well, I don't know. Okay. All right, so tell me what formula I'm going to use for this triangle 1 here. The side angle side one, which is, okay. 1/2 triangle 1 is 1/2. How does that work, Amanda? Specifically.
Like, you want me to say the number?
Yeah.
1/2, 35, or 25 times 80. And then sine of 60.
Which
Sine
is,
of 15.
okay. All right, throw it in there. I'm going to clear off your eye problem on the last time. You didn't catch it. What's the matter?
Wait, what?
On the last problem, you got an I. If you actually carried it through, like, 6.5 minus 7, they would give you an answer in terms of I, isn't it the imaginary I? You didn't get that. You didn't get that part. That's, see, 19.5. They didn't give us an error, they gave us an imaginary, which is interesting. All right, did you get 362 point? All right. I'm just going to write the whole thing. 31. That way I can't be accused of rounding too early, right? All right. Number 2. Let's see. We have enough information. Number 2. Pythagorean, really? There's no right angle. That's going to be problematic. Okay, that's all I got with 2. Okay, I'm going to come back to that. And 3, let's see. Oh, for gosh sakes. There's my 3. Leave yourself some space. All right, so what do I know in here? I got 45 across the bottom. I got 110 angle, is that right?
No.
On the outside, yeah, that's where I put it. So what's on the inside? 80?
It's only 100 degrees.
Oh, for gosh sakes. Yikes. 100. What? I'm 80. All right. What else do we know? Anything? Oh, 20. Right? 20. All right. Which formula should I use here? The same one. Okay, so triangle 3, 1/2. Plug the numbers in, Miss Warren. Okay. Now, if you didn't remember that formula and then you go back and do the trig, it'd be a lot more complex. So, times 45 times sine of 8. Okay. So 440. What's the rest of it, Bridget? Okay. We don't have to get that carried away, but that's just better than scrolling sometimes when they have a lot going on. Okay. So this triangle. It's a fun one. All right. So what are we going to have to do? We only have one side. We got to have 3 pieces to do anything. So you are going to go find this. Oh, wow. I think that was probably a long way around. If I understood you correctly, this is what Claire May said. Since we have the area here by a different method, could we set that up and use you don't have your S, and you wouldn't have your other side. Okay, so how did we find sides before we knew we were gonna do areas? All signs are law of cosines. Okay. You're gonna have to do the law of cosines or the law of sines here to find this side for this triangle. Okay, so let's see. Let's let Maria.
No. You made a contact feeling.
I just want you to make a decision about what we should do first. That's all I'm asking. Okay. You can handle it. So, but you get what we're doing. We're going to use these other triangles, the law of sines, because we don't have enough to use two. Okay, so tell me what you want me to find first.
Oh, right.
Or law of cosines, either one. And we can work on one or we can work on two because either one of those, actually we're probably going to have to do them both, aren't we? Because we don't know anything about any angles here. Okay, so where should we start?
I think we should start by finding the side between 2 and 3.
All right, so let's call it, what do you want to call it?
I don't care.
Oh, X. Call it X. All right, here we go. Okay, so the area is going to have to wait. This is area. We'll see what we can come up with, but it looks like we're going to probably use the Heron's formula, right? Because we don't know any angles, and I don't think there's any way to come up with angles, is there? Unless we do law. Well, because if we do law of cosines with the other sides, the other triangles, they share a side. They're not going to share an angle, right? So this is going to be the, this business. Okay. S minus, anyway. We're going to get them. We're going to get them. All right. We're starting with X right here. Okay. So this side is X. This is 80, correct? This is 20. This is 45. All right. Can we use law of sines or law of cosines we have to use? Law of cosines, because we don't have a matching side. All right. So, law of cosines, Amanda.
X squared equals 20 squared plus 45 squared. Minus 2 times 20 times 45. And then cosine of 80. Nice.
Okay. So that's the easiest law of cosines we could get if it's all relative. At least we don't just start swapping sides and all that. This is when you know you need to go to the hair salon. The nail salon, because nails don't get the right button. Cut your nails. Okay, I got X squared, this. All right, now I need X, right, Elena? Not X squared. Okay, so I got X squared equals 40, what's the rest of it? 5.96121. I'm gonna go to 5 digits. Okay, 5 is safe if you're rounding in between the end of the problem. Okay, so this is that triangle 2. That's this, right? No, that's this. 45.96121. Okay. Yeah, kind of. Oh my boy. Oh. There we go. All right. Okay. All right. So that's X. Now, don't call something else X. We'll call it Y. All right. So my Y looks like What is so funny?
It's the lion. She said that's a good number.
Oh, crazy. Y. Oopsie. Okay, Y is from the top triangle. 35, Y, and 80. This is going to be Y when we're done. Okay? You got to be able, sorry, you got to be able to transfer from here and then, okay. Let's see, do we know any angles up there? 15's up there. All right, you got to use the log signs or log cosines. All right. Okay, give me the law of cosines, Kara.
Okay, I'm gonna go with the y squared equals 80 squared plus 35 squared minus 280.
Cosine of 15. Okay, now I know you're tempted not to write that down for me because you're like, well, I know where that came from. But if you get it wrong, I got to know where it comes from. So write it down. So the rest, you don't have to write anything else down except the answer when you're done. Get 2,200 about the same again? It's pretty close to the last one, right? Get 47 something? Okay. So Y equals 47 and 5 digits. What are those 5 digits, Sarah? 072444845. Okay. And that's this. 47,07245 rounded to 5 digits. Okay. Let's get this guy over here. All right. Did I lose anybody? Okay, we're gonna now go for it. Find your area, and then we should be finally done with this problem. Yes.
Yeah, there's so much. It's unmeasurable. It's fine though. We're not doing that.
This is when you might consider storing, just because you don't have to keep putting that. You did it. Job.
Claire, did you say you did that?
Yeah.
You're a loser.
Yeah. Claire's very efficient.
She's really not though. Are you really going for it? Really confused. What'd you get?
Ooh, I almost forgot the subtraction. It's been bad. She forgot a subtraction too.
Not very much.
I swore. All right, what'd you get? 682.
I got 849.
Man, what'd you get, Kara? 632. Rounded. Nowadays. Three them all off.
It's not very.
Okay, what'd you get for S? What'd you get for S? 66 point. That's the one what did I do it? Stored it, that's it. Okay, so that's the one I stored. But how many times did you look at this triangle to get those sides out of there? I looked at it several times. So if you need that visual, then you got to create that for yourself. Okay? All right, now what? We're almost done. Add them all up. So we're going to add area 1. And remember, this is sitting here waiting for you, so grab it. This one plus that one. Plus, and then that one.
Except those one didn't.
All right, and the grand total. Well, you care if you have to stock it with fish, because there's an X amount of area, there's that issue. You care if, but then you go, it depends. Sometimes you could work with those.
Well, that'd be so hard because if you know the volume, then you'd have to know the different depths of each different part of the lake.
Yeah. All right, what's the total area, Lauren?
Oh, wait, no.
You have not been doing any of these calculations?
I have
Elena, my favorite student today. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, that's done. Yeah, right. All right, now units. Should be feet squared. Also known as square feet. Okay? For the word problems, you should have units. And remember, they will trip you up. They'll give you inches and then they'll give you feet, so be careful. I say they, but I really mean feet. Okay, are we done, right?